Every morning at the cafe near my office, I sit in the same corner seat, by the window, 2 tables from the counter. It's my spot, my sacred, caffeine-fueled ritual. It's the one constant in my otherwise hectic life, my little island of calm before the storm of the workday begins. So, you can imagine my irritation or my outright fury, though. First morning I walked in and saw someone else sitting there, legs crossed, coffee in hand, smirking at me like she owned the place. I marched over, my briefcase feeling heavier than usual. "Excuse me," I said, trying my best to sound polite and not like I was about to have a meltdown over a chair. "That's my seat." She looked up, and her eyes were bright, just sparkling with mischief. "Did you buy it?" she asked, her voice smooth and a little too amused for my liking. I blinked, caught off guard. "No, but I sit there every day." She just shrugged, taking a slow, deliberate sip of her latte. "Guess I got here first today. You can sit across from me, though. I don't bite." And just like that, my perfectly structured mornings were thrown into chaos. That was the beginning of my mornings never, ever being the same again. She introduced herself as Tessa, a freelance photographer who claimed to find inspiration in chaos. Apparently, my sputtering frustration was part of that chaos. Every single day for the next week, she beat me to my seat. It became a game. And every day, I'd stomp over, my own coffee in hand, feeling half annoyed and half, well, entertained. It was ridiculous. "Do you seriously have nothing better to do than steal my spot?" I finally asked one morning, trying to sound genuinely exasperated. She just leaned back, that infuriatingly charming smile playing on her lips. "Maybe I just like watching you pout," she teased. "You're cute when you're mad." I nearly choked on my cappuccino. My face felt hot. "You're unbelievable." She just grinned, wider this time, "and yet you keep coming back." I hated that she was right. I could have gone to any other cafe, found a new seat, a new routine, but I didn't. I kept coming back to her. At first, it was just banter, witty comebacks over steaming mugs of coffee. Then it started to shift into something else, something softer. She'd start saving the seat for me on days I was running late, a silent truce in our little war. Other times, she'd have a croissant waiting for me before I even had a chance to order, saying she'd guessed I'd be hungry. She started showing me her photographs on her laptop, stunning CD, candid faces of strangers in the crowd, small, beautiful moments that most people, including me, would just walk right past. She had a way of seeing the world that was so different from my own spreadsheet-driven perspective. You know, she told me one day, her eyes serious for a moment, "You always look like you're rushing through life." When I sit here watching you walk in every morning, I see someone who could use a reason to slow down. I rolled my eyes, trying to brush it off, but her words stuck with me long after I left the cafe. Was I rushing? Was I missing things? One rainy Tuesday morning, I came in completely soaked, grumpy, and ready to argue about the seat again. It was the one thing I was looking forward to, but Tessa wasn't there. Her table, no, our table, I realized, was empty. I sat down, and the silence was deafening. I suddenly realized how much I'd gotten used to her smile, her teasing, her presence, greeting me every single day. The routine I fought so hard to protect had changed, and she had become the most important part of it. Then I saw it, a small, folded note tucked under my coffee cup, My heart did a little flip. I opened it. It just said, "Went to shoot a wedding out of town. Don't miss me too much." I smiled to myself, a real, genuine smile. But I did miss her, way more than I wanted to admit. When she returned a week later, she looked tired but absolutely radiant. She slid into my seat. Again, the seat I had been sitting in all because if she never left. "Miss me?" she asked, her familiar smirk back in place. I decided to play along, to hide the fact that my mornings had felt so empty without her. Not even a little bit. She just leaned forward, her eyes dancing. "Then why are you smiling?" I was caught that day. She didn't tease me as much. Instead, she told me about her dreams, her ambition to travel the world with her camera. She also told me about her fears, her fear of settling down, of losing her freedom, her love for all things unpredictable. And then she turned those bright, intense eyes on me and said, "You make my mornings worth waking up for." My heart didn't just stutter. It felt like it stopped completely. It was terrifying. I'd been so careful for years not to feel anything for anyone, to keep my world neat and tidy. But Tessa didn't give me a choice. She just waltzed in and rearranged everything. A few days later, I made a point to arrive extra early, determined to finally claim my victory. But when I walked in, I saw her already sitting there again. This time, though, there were 2 coffees on the table. She looked up and said softly, "Thought I'd save your seat." I laughed, finally admitting it's mine. She shook her head, her smile gentle. "No, just admitting I like sharing it with you." We sat there in a comfortable, easy silence, the rain tapping softly against the window. At some point, our hands brushed as we both reached for our cups and neither of us pulled away. Months have passed since then. We still meet at the cafe every morning. Some days, she still takes the seat first just to annoy me, just so she can watch me fake complain and pretend to be mad. Other days, we sit side by side, our shoulders touching, watching the world rush by outside the window. It turns out she was right all along. I was rushing through life, focused on the destination and missing the entire journey. Now, I stop, I breathe, I smile, because sometimes love doesn't arrive with a big bang or grand cinematic gestures. Sometimes it comes disguised as a girl with mischievous eyes who keeps stealing your seat, just to make you laugh and teach you how to see the world again. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe for more. It really helps a lot. See you in the next one.